on sooner or later. It should say this Hangout on air is live. And y'all, so let's see. I have a interview lined up in Wall Street because I applied for a F-sharp WPF position. I don't even get interviews whenever I apply for a Wall Street job, but this is the first one. And with the combination of me having an interview lined up in New York, and that's focused on WPF and F-sharp, and the fact that I can't get my empty Xamarin Forms project to build. It's an empty project, and I can't get it to build. I get all these crazy errors that most people say deals with a project path being too long. So I'm like, all right, C : /my project. And I throw the assembly in there, and I get the same error. So I got fed up with Xamarin Forms. The intent is to build out a desktop application via WPF. And then when Xamarin Forms becomes more stable again, hence my sentiment, then port that WPF app to Xamarin Forms and take into consideration the Xamarin standard to assist in importing that desktop app to a mobile app from WPF to Xamarin Forms. So that's the intent, that's the strategy, and we'll see. But yesterday, I started writing some code to basically bootstrap a WPF app, wiring it to a domain-driven design made functional. Written in F-sharp. I've had several videos and blog posts that are products of what I've been doing recently, from Scott Vlasch's book, Domain-Driven Design Made Functional. So, yeah, how do I share my screen? Let me share my screen. Yes. Share my screen. Yeah, so I'm sharing my screen. Yup. And so I have this, let me kill you. I'll kill you too. So I got this Nikeza mobile that just happens to have under its integration folder a desktop app, okay? And right now, when you launch this WPF application, aka this desktop app, then you get this log on or this registration form, right? And so I say scott.nimrod@bizmonger.net is my email. And I put in some password, and I navigate to a unimplemented portal page. Okay. That's pretty much it. Now, that appears to be very basic, very simple, but the code behind the scenes is I have C# code that basically makes up a Windows presentation application that's partially built, right? This is just the beginning. I have the C# code or the C# client, hence WPF, that relies on a F# domain, right? A domain that is written in F# that has all the bells and whistles of discriminated unions and pattern matching and all that stuff, right? And so this exercise is, how can you take a client that's written in C# and plug it in, snap it in to a domain-driven or how do we say this, to a domain-driven design made functional. How do you snap that in? And well, so that's something that was an interesting challenge to me. And so in this video, I'm going to discuss what I've done so far. All right. So if I kill this, this is the, I would like to say, the screaming architecture. We have this Nikeza mobile solution. We got our desktop application. And we got this Nikeza common library that has a whole bunch of common operations, common types. And we also have this Nikeza mobile UI logic. This Nikeza mobile UI logic has a little bit of infrastructure, such as a delegate command that commands within XAML will rely on. Have a publisher that is responsible for publishing events, and have a test API, which is probably going to be deleted because it probably should depend on the test API that I have in my test project, which is inside this test folder. But I also have, again, with infrastructure, a view model base. This view model base looks something like this, right? We have this view model base, property changed. And I mean, that's pretty much it. And then I have this view models folder. This actually has the view models that so far are supposed to make up this WPF client or this desktop application. So specifically registration, that's what we were just looking at when I launched the application. That was a registration form. And this is the view model, right? So this view model for registration, it has a lot of things going on, right? Because it's pretty much reflecting the state of our registration form. Not only is it reflecting the state of our registration form that the WPF application showed, but it's also responsible for forwarding requests from the user interface and returning a response from the domain back to the user interface. And so we have some support such as a validated form, which is really of an option type. It's going to be none, or we're going to have something, right? Event occurred. This occurs when we actually rely on our domain. We forward a command to our domain. This right here. And so, for example, we take our form that we're filling out and we say command.execute and submit registration.workflow. And we provided an injected submit function for submitting a registration form. This is so that we can run our application in isolation, right? And also encourage testability. So, for example, in our unit test, we don't want to, in this case of the unit test that I have, we don't want to do any type of I/O. We don't want to talk to external systems. We just want to execute pure domain logic. And because we don't want to do any I/O, because that stuff takes longer and it's more complex, we want the test to run fast. Then as long as we have the function signature for what it means to submit a registration to a workflow, or let me say that differently. As long as we have the function signature for what it means to execute a workflow function, then we just inject that implementation for that workflow to execute. And then the result of that execution of that workflow, we publish those events. And yeah. So down here, we have these commands: validate command, submit command. Okay. This is to basically support that you can only submit a validated form, a validated registration form, and the submit is, well, when someone clicks the really is called join button. The submit command gets executed. It first calls validate, which in hindsight, this validate command may not be necessary. I know it's used in the test, but I'm curious. So if oh yeah, by the way, these are my tests right here. So I have 13 tests. These tests target view models. All 13 tests pass. Okay. What I'm curious about is, will these tests still pass because I'm calling validate right here for the can execute of submit. Question is, if I remove this validate command right here, I should get some build errors because in my tests, they rely on validate command. Over here, hold up. Get rid of that too. I should get some compile errors for my test. Which is right here. And what I'm curious about is, well, this is the validate, which we don't care about right here. And there's another validate down here. This is what I'm curious about. What happens when I, what happens when I comment this out? Build again. And it's complaining about some desktop stuff. Okay. Kill you. And kill you. Okay. Will these tests still pass? If the tests still pass, registration submitted. So this validate is still required. So that's what I wanted to figure out, at least for testability. So do that, undo this, undo that. My test should now go green. One would think. And come on, build, execute, 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 executes, and everything's green again. All right, so anyway. Oh, we have some publicly exposed properties such as email, password, confirm, which is confirmation of password. And we bind to this is validated. So that join button that's on the form is disabled until this is validated is true. So this is what the XAML, in conclusion, this is what the XAML data binds to. Okay. Now that's the registration view model, right? And yeah, this view model is in F#. So why am I talking about C# interop? Well, because I'm trying to push as much of the domain logic to a functional paradigm. Specifically, I'm trying to push as much business logic to F#, and even interaction. Well, even if I could push some interaction logic to F sharp, then I'll do that as well. So, okay, if the view models are implemented in F sharp and the domain is also in F sharp, which, oh yeah, by the way, if you want to see what the domain looks like, then we can go in here. Why aren't you going in here? I should be able to hit F12. You should be able to take me to the definition of this workflow right here. If I hit F12, you still don't want to do that, huh? Okay. So all this is still, let's make it easier, okay? So we have this profile, and then we have this workflow here, and we have this submit registration workflow right here. So submit registration workflow. It receives the submit function that was injected, remember, in our view model. And with that submit function, it basically incorporates that and says command.execute form. And with that form, it's going to pipe that form into our submit function, which was passed to this workflow. It's an implementation for submitting a registration form that was passed to our workflow. So we take that form and we pipe it into the submit function implementation that was passed in. The result of that submit being executed are registration submission events. That's what gets returned, okay? If we go back to the registration view model, then we can observe that when we call this workflow and we provide the implementation for submitting a form, we know that this workflow returns registration events. We publish those events right here. And then we pass in the event occurred, I don't know, event instance, whatever you want to call that thing. You know, what that looks like is, if I hit F12, this publish events will basically take the list of events, and with that event occurred right here, it'll go ahead and trigger that event or collection of events that was returned by the workflow. And clients can now react or respond to these workflow events that are being triggered. Okay. So that's the view model. And the actual C# client that interops with this view model written in F# that ultimately hits a domain that is also written in F# is this desktop app. If I expand that, I have this infrastructure in here. Specifically, I have this registration page. I also have a shell, okay? I have a shell, I have a registration page, and I also have a portal page. And I also have a navigate to, and I have a function factory, okay? So what is all this stuff? Okay, well, let me try to drill into it. First, we have a shell. The shell is an actual WPF window, okay? And all the shell is responsible for doing on the UI side is basically providing the support, or let me say this a different way. All the shell is responsible for is for performing navigation, okay? That's all this. That's all it's for. To do navigation, in this case, I chose the strategy of having a frame. And with this frame element, I could say frame.navigate and specify a page within the WPF application. Now, if we drill into this shell.xaml, we see shell.xaml.cs, and then we see this shell.xaml.internal CS. That doesn't look like it's WPF. Well, you're right, because that's me being an awesome engineer. My insecurity and arrogance at the same time coming off. All right, so like the shell.xaml CS, it basically says, hey, give me a registration page, and the page, our landing page will be, for right now, based on the state of development, our landing page of this WPF application is going to be a registration page. Okay, so give me a registration page and navigate to it. That's what this app frame.navigate registration page is. Okay, that looks pretty simple. Okay, well, where's this init registration at? Well, this init registration should be in the shell.xaml.internal file. It's still part of this shell class, but I take advantage of partial classes in C#. So to demonstrate my coolness of leveraging partial classes in C#, instead of having regions, I have this init registration. And as I said, that's in this shell.xaml.internal. Okay. And I mean, if I wanted to, I could be even cooler, and I could say, I can embed that inside the shell.xaml.cs. And then that would really solidify my coolness like that. Oh, you see how I did that? That makes me really cool now. All right, so the shell.xaml.internal, this has the function for, or this has the method. Well, technically, it's a function, or is it? I don't know. So it has this method called init registration. That's where the implementation is right here. And we have OCD says to do this. So we have a registration page that we instantiate, and then this registration is our view model that we say registration page.data context. And we go ahead and with this view model that we have, we basically say, hey, for this view model's event occurred, whenever that event triggers, whenever we have an event that occurs, I want you to just call this navigate from registration handler. Okay. If an event occurred, then from the application side, more than likely, that event that occurs is probably going to provide an opportunity for us to do some navigation. And so that navigate from registration is right here. We take this portal page. Well, we create an instance of a portal page, and we basically assign the data context of the portal page to this profile editor view model, right? And what this means is when you submit your registration form, the very first thing that you're going to need to do after your registration form has been submitted is you need to fill out your profile. And this is what this profile editor view model essentially reflects. This profile editor view model will it's going to take a profile, and it's going to also, this view model, we inject a save profile implementation. So that's pretty interesting. The save profile implementation, this basically comes from our function factory right here. This function factory is responsible for, in the future, this function factory will take into consideration the configuration settings for this WPF app. In the future, this function factory will see if the configuration settings is for integration, like actually talking to a web server, or if it's just for like testing a self-contained app. If it's testing a self-contained app, which we're doing right now, then it's going to have some mock functions, such as mock submit and mock save, right? This mock submit is basically based on a validated registration form that we want to mock the submission of. This save profile, well, this is based on a validated profile, right? So when you are filling out when you are editing your profile editor and you want to save your latest edits, because when you submit your registration, you navigate to the profile editor, which should have your email address, which I haven't implemented yet, but you need to put in your first name, last name, and your featured topics. Well, first, the data that you input into that profile editor needs to be validated. And if it is validated, then, well, this submit profile will receive a validated profile, right? So that's what this function factory is. And when we establish our view model that we assign to the portal page.data context, then we use our frame again that our shell has, and we call navigate to portal page. Yeah, that's pretty much it. If you notice, this is this WPF application, this desktop app. This is all C#. Okay, it interops with view models that are written in F#. Okay, OCD's taking over. Hold up. Okay. So when I say interop, yeah, if you notice this function factory, in order for it to talk to F# code, specifically dealing with these discriminated unions, then we have this like F# func that I have to use, because this F# func will basically, it's needed to pull data or interact with discriminated unions that are written in F#. That's what I got from it. Am I saying this right? Let me see. So this mock submit, if I go to the definition, or I could go to, there should be a test API locally. I'm almost positive that that's in the K's Mobile UI Logic Test API. This mock submit has a discriminated union of results, in which a result type is OK or error. This OK provides some profile, right? So this is how we're mocking the submit. And in order to have C# code interop with F# discriminated unions, I've learned that where's my factory at? It sounds so object oriented. I learned that I have to make use of this F# func. Now, as I think about this, I could have done this a different way, which I'm too lazy to do. But what I could have done is I could have, the submit function right here takes result. Let me look. Let me see this. The submit function takes a validated form and it's going to return a result. If successful, it's going to be a profile. Else, if it's not successful, it's just going to return the validated form that we submitted. Okay. If an alternative way of doing this, why are you so spaced out over here? You could go back. Okay. An alternative way of doing this is theoretically, let me see. One could say that I could. How would this work? I want to say type results. Yeah, I'm thinking on the fly. Type result with. I got two results in here. Type result with, and then I have like something like member x dot try get profile, something like that. And that would probably require an equal sign, and that would probably be a. Why is this profile? This is profile up here, right? That would probably first. Let's just. I want that profile to be recognized. Unexpected identifier name, expected infix operator quote. What am I doing wrong here? I have a module. Does this need to be above my lets? Well, if you're going to return something, then you have to say, okay, and then x dot. Yeah, I'm not sure how to do this. This profile. All right, I'm on a tangent right now. What's this complaining about? Type result. I should be, like, for example, I should be able to say, if I wanted to do, I don't know, submit function. See, it's okay with it. No, it's not. Type abbreviation cannot have members. All right, I give up. Anyway, I was thinking about using a type extension to basically serve as an alternative for having this funky syntax over here. And I'm almost positive I can, but I'm not going to dig into it. So, all right, I got derailed. Yeah, so I talked about the shell. The shell is actually responsible for navigation. I discussed. There's something that I'm missing in here that I didn't talk about. This registration page. Did I dig into this registration page? No, I didn't dig into this registration page. This registration page, the UI looks like this up here, right? You have your email address, you have your password, you have your password confirmation, okay? And I don't have any styles in here. I just went ahead and cooked this up. This is a XAML right here, right? when they click join, that join button is actually, background. You're a noise right now. I want to see the important stuff and the details we can put at the end, such as width and height and all that stuff. So the join button, we see that we have this command attribute in which we bind the join button to the submit command that I described on my view model. All right. So I talked about the registration page, XAML. I talked about for the password and the confirm boxes on the UI. Password controls, they don't support, or they're not of, how do I say this? The password control is not a dependency injection. What is that called? I thought it's called dependency. What is the name of that? When basically within a XAML application or WPF, when a control supports data binding, it's called a something dependency, and I forgot the name of it. Anyway, the password controls, this password element and this confirm element, they don't support data binding. I can't think of the name. What is that name called? I think, is it called dependency properties? WPF dependency. Yeah, it's called dependency properties, I think. Yeah, so we see the password and confirmation password controls, they don't support dependency properties. And so this is why instead of doing data binding, because you can't do it, I have some hard-coded password changed. And when the password changed, then I basically assign the value that's currently in the password to the property that's in or the password property that's on my view model. And it's the same thing over here, right? And one would say that you could probably make this a function, but these are only 2 lines apiece, so I'm not really saving that much. I'm saving 2 lines of code. All right, so I talked about registration.xaml. I talked about shell.xaml. This navigate to will basically actually do the navigation. So if I show the caller of that, well, you don't, hold it, really? You're not being used? No, you're being used. Hold up, you're not being used? I don't have any references to this load. Let me launch this application. The application is launched, and if I say Scott at abc.com and I say 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, yeah, if I hit join, oh, sure enough, this navigation can be deleted because it's not being used. Oh, okay, that's news to me. So, really, yeah. Well, there's an internal in here. Are you not being used as well? Well, no, yeah, you're not going to be used as well because you were up here. All right, so theoretically, if I delete this, navigate to, everything should still build because it said that there weren't any references. The cool thing about recording videos or even like sharing a screenshot of your code on Twitter is it forces you to review your code and make edits as you're talking about your code. So the navigation, I think I described where the navigation is actually being done. I thought I said it's in the shell dot internal. And yeah, so navigation is being done in here. And that is the result of the registration form that event occurred. And so when the event occurs, as I said earlier in the video, we examine the event because this is going to take a registration submission event, right? When the event occurs. And so from here, what we probably should do is what we're not doing is we're not seeing if that registration submission event is successful. Now, we probably don't have to because we have data binding in our XAML, right? That the join button is only enabled when the form has been validated, and then you hit the submit. But on the UI side, that might be correct. It may be correct, but when you submit, it's still an IO operation, right? Ultimately, when this is in production. So because it's an IO operation, it relies on the network. Because it relies on the network, you do have the chance of no internet connection or something just going wrong because you're relying on external systems. This is no longer in your domain. So what we should do is we should first say args dot is registration succeeded, right? So you say if, for whatever reason, C# wants me to put everything in parentheses. If registration succeeded, okay, then this code right here would be, if I do control RM, I could say, oh, I didn't like that. Hold up. If registration succeeded, then we navigate. Something like that. And we probably should take this and make it its own navigate to, I'm just going to say to portal. That. Or I could say on portal navigation. Oh no, I'll just say to portal. Okay. And methods are private by default, so we don't need to explicitly say private. Okay. And who uses crises? Like, so uncool. All right. And does it make sense to put it up here? No. Okay. So we have that, or we could say else if. Is it else if? Else if. I'm getting confused. Or can I say elif? No, I have to say else if. Okay. Else if we say args dot registration failed, then we would probably want to show some error page, right? And we would say to registration error, something like that. I didn't mean to do that. So you have like this to registration error that we could generate a method for. We could delete the private, and well, I want this to actually be under the to portal, and this to registration error right now it's we would later create a registration error page. I guess I should probably do that. So let me create a registration error page. I mean, I could test it by going to the mock submits function and return an error instead. And either way, it's a good idea to have a registration error page. That needs to be under WPF, a page like that. I'm missing the E like that. Registration error page. And I mean, this is good to do. And you can pretty much in here say label and then content equals error. We could say registration error, something like that. And we can make this font size equal to like something big, like 36. And we could say that the foreground is red. And maybe registration error is too native to programmer talk. Maybe we say, oops. You say, do we really need to have a capital O there? Yeah, maybe, oops. And you say, maybe down here. Of course, then I would have to have a stack panel. Stack panel. And the orientation would be vertical, which I think is by default. I can't believe I remember all this. Stack panel, you could say it's right here, and then you could say, like, so you say oops, and then you say, maybe at like 24, you say, there was an error. There was an error when attempting to submit your form. You do something like that, okay? And that probably doesn't need to be red. That can probably be like dark gray, something like that. Or we it's an error. Let's say orange. Orange red, maybe? No, orange red does not look right. Let's say orange. Okay. And that screams that there was an issue. Yes. Okay. There was an error attempting to submit your form. Get rid of the when part. Okay. There is an error attempting to submit your form. Or we could say an error occurred submitting your form. An error occurred submitting your form. I don't know how to spell submitting. An error occurred while submitting your form. Something like that. Okay, that makes me happy. Okay, so that's the registration error page, right? Oh, okay. So you got this registration error page right here. And so we can then say app frame.navigate. Put that right there. Yes. And we call this new registration error page like that. Yes. We're missing something. How do you do this? How do you do this? Something like that. Okay. And that looks fine. All this other stuff looks okay. Which means that I probably don't need to have this. If it's just one line, then I could probably just, I don't need to create a whole method for this. Probably just do something like this. Yes. That. But this kind of deviates from our, yeah, so this isn't consistent with this right here. And so we wanted to be consistent, man. So that is probably, I don't like the way this reads, okay? I don't like the way this reads. I want this to read better. What I would like to do is say, I want to say like, I don't want to do this. That's one namespace. I want to say, can I do another namespace? Can I do like, can I have a name? Oh, who's this calling me? What I want to do, and this is, I want to, let me show you what I want. What I want to do is, I want to say something like this. I want to say like, hold up, come here. I want to say like 2 registration error. And over here, I want to, I'm getting lost. Over here, I want to say 2 portal, right? And so that reads better. In order to accomplish that, I need to put this in a separate namespace, I guess. Can I have namespaces embedded? Meaning, can I do something like this? Namespace 2, and then, no, it doesn't let me do that. I do this all the time, or I've been doing this recently in F sharp. Namespace, that's the class right here. Oh, you can probably create a class though. So I could say like maybe this is going to be a I don't know, internal class, private class, internal class, and we'll call this 2 and something like that. And what I want to do is do something like this. And so 2 does not contain definition for portal. It doesn't know what app frame is. So here, I don't know, let's just, really? This app frame does not exist. Well, where's app frame? Oh, app frame is actually I would have to pass this in. So you would have to say like that frame like that. And you have to say here that frame like that. And this might be overkill, right? And so then here, this would be, should be frame, and we call it app frame. And then we'll just handle the, something like that. And same thing here, say frame, app frame, something like that. And it's still complaining. 2 does not contain the definition for portal. Yes, it does. So what? Do I make this public now? This is class. Yeah, so apparently I don't have the skills yet to figure out the C# stuff because I don't work in C#. I Yeah, like this stuff. I guess I'm trying too hard. Um, to It's in the same namespace. Do I need to make this static? No, still doesn't care. I mean, it probably stay static anyway. And 2 does not contain the definition for portal. 2 dot. Oh, because it's called 2 portal. What up? Well, still isn't going to recognize it. Same thing here. And it's inaccessible due to its protection level. So if we say, okay, fine, public, and now what? It's still going to complain. Yeah, I don't know. Events that is inaccessible due to its protection level. Well, everything is public in here. Public shell. This is, oh, shoot. I make this public and make this public like that. And everything's happy. Thing is I want this to be like a inner class. And I don't know how to, I never use inner classes in C#. Well, this is an inner class. No, it's not. So what I really want to do is I really want to do something like this right here. Okay. And that's what I wanted to achieve. Okay. 2 portal. And then if I do that, do I really need to pass in app frame? I mean, in a way, like this is probably, hold up. Eh, we'll leave it like this. And I don't know. Anyway, this is me playing around, but this is basically providing support to, in case the registration doesn't succeed, we do an error page. which is this right here. And that's pretty much it. So again, if I run the app, do I want to test this? Okay, hold up. So where's the UI logic is here, test API. So when I mock a submit, I should be able to say error. And in this case, it's going to be a unvalidated form, right? Because if I go to the submit function here, it's supposed to be a validated form. And for that to be a validated form, what does a validated form look like? Validated form is a registration. Okay, so what does that look like? It's validated form equals form. Okay, what does a form look like? Form is up here. Email, password, confirm. So, go back. If I go to my test API, let's keep this right here. And why am I still? And let's just have a let mock failed. Oh, Scott, you're so smart. Submit like this. Okay. And this will implement, or this will output the submit function. Submit function. Okay. And what this is going to do is going to say function. We don't care what it takes, but we want to return an error. The error is going to be a we should do something like some validated form. Okay. Say error, some validated form. That's some validated form. We can do here, let then some validated form equals something like this. And we can do, oh, come here. No, that's not what I wanted. Oh, come here. Something like that. No, what the, something like that. Okay. And how does this work? We have a, first we get rid of all these semicolons and put in some equal signs. And then we say, I don't know, some email. I don't even care. All this stuff can be like this. I think I have to say email, and then password equals something like that, and password something like that. And I think, how does this look? A validated form is supposed to say, I keep doing this. A validated form is supposed to, a form equals, and then, all right, so if I do that, then I should say, is that how you do it? Hold up. Form, and then I think this is how you do it, but we gotta say something like that, and then something like this. That form is of registration. So one would say, actually, I could get rid of all this right here. One would say that I should be able to, I should be able to say open registration. And the record label form is, okay, now it's recognized. All right, it took a while, but all right, it's recognized now. So then this mock failed submit should have been a error. Oh yes, it needs to take this function, and theoretically we should just be able to do this. And you don't like that. Why don't you like that? Okay, so you like that. Okay, so we have that in place. And let's clean things up a little bit more while this is building. It should build. Something like that. And the build succeeded. And you know what? You over here, you can go back here. You, my friend, can go back up here. And we can bring you back like that. Like that. Now, if we do that, no, something's not right. Something like that. And something like that. Or does it need to go back? Okay. Anyway, I'm getting carried away with this. But we can now mock a failed submit. And if we do that, how does this work? We should, I think it's in the, where do we inject this? I thought the shell is where we inject all of our dependencies. Actually, it's the factory. We have a factory, the function factory right here. This function factory, we can replace mock submit with mock failed submit, which I need to, needs to be a lowercase. Test API. You should be a lowercase failed submit. Test API. Yeah, you need to be lowercase. Like that. And to test this, come on. Go green, go green, go green. To test this, we pass in a mock failed submit. So we should be able to say Scott at abc.com. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And when we hit join, oh yeah, baby, yes. Oops, an error occurred while submitting your form. I'm so smart. Yes. And if we wanted to say, let me go back to this factory. If I want to say Nah, son. Go back to just mock submit. Then we can do that. And we should have, Scott at abc.com, whatever arbitrary email, right? And then we hit join. Oh yes, and we have a successful submit of a registration. This portal thing, right? That this is going to be a form that's going to have a first name, last name, email, which the email is going to persist because we already derived that from the registration, right? This is the profile editor that I need to actually fill out the implementation of in regards to the UI. But that's it. So I just went into a dissertation of wiring a C# client application to an F# domain. And I made some subtle updates to the code base, and I'm going to commit this code. And I'm going to say edit fail case for submitting registration. And I don't know. That's enough right now. Commit all and push. This is on GitHub/Nikeza. And Nikeza is Nikeza is this right here. It's a content aggregator platform that takes your content. It's taking a long time to navigate to Nikeza. Yeah, that's not good. Why are you taking a long time to navigate to Nikeza? That's not good at all. So Nikeza is this right here, in which it aggregates content from a content provider. So all these people here, they're content providers. And it takes content from Stack Overflow, YouTube, WordPress, Medium.com, even RSS feeds from podcasts. And it basically will show the latest content, and you can also look at someone's portfolio. So if I click on me, there's a performance bottleneck, and there's my portfolio of answers, articles, videos, and podcasts, and I can view everything, and that stuff could get cleaned up, but I don't like web development even after I wrote this in Elm. All right, so that's it, man. I'm content with this video. Whatever. Practice makes perfect. I'm out. Adios. Te veo a ratito. I'm available for hire. I do WPF. I do mobile development. I do test automation. I do backend development, and I love F#. Look for me. Consider me. If your company needs help, hire me. Yep. Bye.